Hey guys, how's it going? It's Etanios here. Welcome to episode number 1 of this brand new series I'm going to be doing on my channel. I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail of the video and everything already, but it is going to be called the Canadian Cup Challenge series here with the Halifax Highlanders. So just before we actually jump into this video and everything, if you guys are new to the channel and enjoying my content, please go down below and consider subscribing. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs, and that's my goal. So yeah, if you haven't done that yet, please go do so. So guys, let's get into this series. So this Canadian Cup Challenge is going to be with the Halifax Highlanders. Their affiliate team is going to be called the Charlottetown Sea Dogs. We're going to do 25 seasons, and here are the rules. So, rule number 1, we can only use Canadian players. Is that like nationalism? Maybe. Anyways, rule number 2, we can only draft Canadian players. That's both in the expansion and the entry draft. Rule number 3, we can only sign Canadian free agents. And rule number 4 is we cannot draft, trade, or sign players of any other nationality. So the goals for this series, I have set out some goals, some kind of markers that we're going to try to keep on track with. So here they are. So goal number 1 is make the playoffs in the first 3 seasons of this franchise mode. I think that's doable, and we'll see how that goes. Rule number 2 is build at least 70% line chemistry by season 3. So 3 years in, we need to have as good a system chemistry as 70%. Obviously, we're going to try to get that higher because this game is very heavily reliant on how good your team's chemistry is. Goal number 3 is win a Stanley Cup in the first 5 seasons. I mean, the overall goal for this series is to win as many Stanley Cups as physically possible. We're going to try to bring as many cups to Halifax as possible. So after that first cup in the first 5 seasons, for our third goal, our next 3 goals are all kind of just based on numbers here. So goal number 4 would be win 5 Stanley Cups by 2031/32. I think that's doable. Win 10 cups by 2037/38. Give ourselves a couple years to not do so well in the playoffs, but it's got to be like 2 out of every 3 years kind of thing we're winning a cup with this team. And then our final goal there is win 15 Stanley Cups by the end of the franchise mode. I think these are all doable, but it's going to be a bit of a grind. And obviously we're going to be trying to end up, like number 2 or 3 on the all-time Stanley Cup rankings list behind teams like Montreal, Toronto, and Detroit. Those are the teams we're chasing. So without further ado, let's jump into this actual franchise mode now. Let's get it all set up. I do have a couple. I've put in 3 creative players that are going to be free agents after we are done the entry draft and the expansion draft and all that stuff. I've put in 3 players that I believe we're only going to be able to choose one. Okay, so that's the other twist here. Is we're only going to be able to choose one player. But, obviously any kind of players with elite potential are going to be accepted into this team. I'm not going to complain at all. And there, as you can see, we've got, I'll hit customize because we have the Charlottetown Sea Dogs here. This is going to be our AHL affiliate. We're going to have a lot of players down here eventually as we start to draft more and get on with this series. But, you can just see the details here. Apparently the screen's not going to load. Okay, maybe it is. And that's the logos there. You can see the Halifax Highlanders logo. There's the third one to go on the jerseys and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't really put too much work into the AHL normally. It's like, yeah, whatever. I could care less. But the other thing I am going to show you guys here, I'm going to put a picture of it up on screen, is this is how our jerseys are going to look. Actually, I'll wait until we actually go and take a look at our team's overalls once we're done drafting and everything. But I haven't completely come up with these jerseys and this team originally. It was actually off of another concept. So I will show you that when we get to that point. So let's see, we just got to change a couple things here with division realignment, and there you go. Halifax is going to be in the Atlantic, obviously with a whole bunch of other Canadian teams like Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto. Lots of good Canadian teams in there. So here we go. We're going to add a contract year because that's realistic, and it doesn't make sense to constantly have players hitting free agency. I hate fog of war, so that's off, and I don't want the coach to touch my lines. We're going to have morale on. We're going to have owner mode on. We don't want to get fired, so GM firing's off, and that's the rules. Let's get into the settings here, really. This will only take a couple seconds, but you guys know that when I play gameplay, I like 5-minute periods. I'm going to leave trade difficulty on medium, because that's... I've actually gotten feedback in the comments that saying that I should always keep it on at least medium, if not high or difficult. But we're going to do high sim engine scoring here as well. And then gameplay sliders, the only thing, again, you know, we've seen, you guys have seen this a lot from me, is that I don't like constantly having to go, okay, replace player, head coach, replace player, whatever, in the calendar sims. So we're going to turn injury occurrence down to 15%. And looks like we are ready to go here. Let's see what we can do in Halifax. Alright, so we are in the franchise mode menu now, and, well, obviously our team has no chemistry, but let's just check out the draft class before we jump into the expansion draft. And, okay, wow, that is an incredibly weak draft. Jesus. Is that really all... Wait, what? Wait, what? You're kidding me, right? This is the weakest draft I've ever seen. Yeah, there's a franchise player up top, but still... Is that it? Oh my lord, this is a weak draft. Wow. Wow, that is disappointing. Okay. So I think we need to hope we land the number 1 pick, because if we don't really have a lot of good players to select, and honestly I'd be willing to trade up for that number 1 pick too. We don't have any rules on trading there. So let's see what happens, and I doubt we win the lottery, but you never know. And things are still loading here. Okay, advanced day, and Colorado keeps the number 1 pick. We move from 3 to 5 thanks to Buffalo and Edmonton, 2 teams who don't need players. Okay, so Colorado's probably going to be a bit of a pain in the ass to trade with, but we'll try to get it done. And, you know, franchise defenseman in there. Actually, he's Canadian, isn't he? I need to double check that. What's this player's name? Oh, he's playing for Halifax, too. Okay, 5'11", probably offensive defenseman here, but he's franchise. Harrison O'Brien, man, that would be, yeah, he's really the only player that we really want. I would say everybody else is like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't really need these guys. Like the first draft, you guys know just how absolutely stupidly weak the first draft is normally, and especially for Canadian players. Like, yes, there are some computer generated like American players and stuff like that in the first draft, but we can't draft them because it's an all Canadian team here. So anyways, let's advance to the expansion draft. I'm going to kind of power through this quickly because I know who I want to select already, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so I'm going to just kind of recap this nice and quickly for you so you can see down below all the players' names. For left wing, we got Matthew Delcole, Scott Lawton, Lawson Krause, Brendan Leipzig, Brandon Perlini, and John Quenville. On the center position, we got Henrique, Rodriguez, Dickinson, Stahl, Howden, Sorelli, and Dauphine. And for the right wingers, we only got Anderson, Toffoli, Ennis, and Ritchie. Okay. And then for defense, we get Giordano, Fleury, Graves, Uyghur, Hamhuis, Vince Dunn, Burns, Muzzin, and Tanev. And then for goalies, we get Mike Smith, Domingue, Jari, and Comrie. So yeah, that is all the picks. If for whatever reason you guys don't think one of these players is Canadian, leave it in the comments. Let me hear it. But I'm 99.99999% sure all these guys are Canadian, unless for some reason there was a nationality change when they were younger or something like that. But anyways, that is our draft. That is all the players. You know, not a spectacular amount of value, but it works. It's all Canadian players, right? So there's the look at the list one more time. You can pause the video if you want to, and yeah. All right, so we have the 5th pick in this draft. Really, Harrison O'Brien is the only guy that I am truly interested in. So let's just advance a day, get to the entry draft here. So we definitely want to throw that first round pick this year up on the block. And honestly, we might be looking to make other trades too. Brett Burns has decent value, so that's not too bad. But this 5th pick, we definitely need to look to move potentially. So, okay, let me just get my headset here because we're going to have exactly 3 minutes to trade with the Colorado Avalanche right now. And they don't want to trade this pick, so it's going to be a bitch to trade for. Okay. So, they want Brett Howden. I don't want to offer them Brett Howden. I can offer them Dickinson and the 5th, and that's obviously not going to be enough. So, to add on to that, they only got 3 skaters matching the trade block. Well, that's a pain in the ass. Can we trade them like Mark Giordano or somebody like that? If they'll take that deal, I will take it because that's honestly not that bad. And trade accepted. Beautiful. Okay, so we get a franchise defenseman at only really the cost of Mark Giordano and Dickinson. I mean, that 5th overall pick was literally going to be like Victor Hadfield. So definitely worth it to trade up for O'Brien. And let's see how he turns out. Not bad. 81 overall franchise defenseman. Okay. And he's 2-way. Okay, so that's You know, I almost would have preferred if he was offensive, but, you know, still looks like a really solid player. Good skating, good puck skills. Pretty solid defense, you know, all around at least 3 stars. So that's, yeah. And he's 17 as well. Nice. Okay. Really, after this, I'm willing to trade picks to get picks for the future. So, I'm really not, like, overly excited about like trying to trade for certain players here. Really, there aren't that many Canadian prospects that I'm actually like crazy about. Bilius, I'll probably try to go for. And besides that, like I really don't know if anybody else is even worth pursuing because there's so few good Canadians in this first draft that it's like, all right, I don't need to select these guys necessarily. The other guy, what's his name here? Chris Ennis, Chris Ennis, I normally like. So maybe we can keep the 35th overall pick. That'd be a decent selection there. But let's try to possibly make a trade. Any Canadian players on the rosters here? I mean, I'm honestly just looking more to trade picks if possible. But the team I actually like to take a risk on normally is Nashville because every once in a while their pick really does not, or their 2020 season really does not go the way they would have hoped. And yeah, that would definitely be interesting to invest in. All right, so I'm honestly willing to trade all of these picks and a second next year for that one pick. If they'll take that, I'm good with that. And beautiful. Thank you, Nashville. That might actually be the deal of the series here if we win any kind of lottery or Nashville does bad. So we're going to send him to pick 35. And really, there are not that many prospects. Wow, what an absolutely god-awful draft. That is... Okay, so Florida gets Emmerich. Which is probably fair because normally they'd have, Spencer Knight, but I haven't added him into the game on this account. So Gleason's actually surprisingly decent too. But I know who we're going to select here. It's going to be Chris Ennis, I think, because really, Walford, I don't know that well. Emmett Pierce, probably not going to be anything either. So Chris Ennis, I know at least he's going to be a medium top 6 defender. And yeah, okay, not too bad, 55 rated. So really, I am totally okay just using pick 99 to pick Billis. Is it Billis, I believe is how you say it? Boston Billis. I'm good with that and not really selecting anybody else because, like I've said, this first draft is god-awful. So, yeah, we'll take Boston Billis. I'm pretty sure he's only like a backup. Yeah, he's only a backup. But, you know, not terrible for a first ever draft. So, honestly, I'm just going to sim through the rest of this. I'm really not expecting anybody to have crazy picks here. And, you know, we can go and look through it and all, but it's like, what even exists in here that's actually going to be quality? Because there was no quality at the top of the draft, aside from the one player we were able to snag there, thank God. And, really, I'm kind of kind of disgusted with how bad that draft was. So, honestly, a medium top 6 defenseman and a medium backup goalie are decent picks, apart from a medium franchise defenseman who's going to be a piece of this franchise here for probably the entire career. Like 25 seasons, if you can keep a franchise defenseman for that long, that's totally worth your drafting, your time, your money, everything. So we got a re-sign phase here. There's literally nobody who's becoming an RFA because we added the contract year. So a lot of players will be expiring after this season. I honestly think that we might be able to trade some forwards for, or some defense for forwards, pardon me, and honestly make this team a bit better. But at the same time, we don't want to go all in and actually, become a crazy, insane contender for the first year because, we have decent goalies. They're really not that great. We got $31 million in cap space, so we'll see if that could play to our advantage in any way. Honestly, I'm just going to sim right to free agency here. Harrison O'Brien signs, Christopher Innes signs. Beautiful. Okay. So, obviously we are going to have the money to pursue. Okay, this is where these 3 players come into play, and I'm going to talk to you guys about this. So, I wasn't sure exactly how the draft is going to play out, but it played out, I think, as perfectly as it could have for us. But here are the 3 free agents that I needed to talk to you guys about that are going to be insane. So, we've got 1 high elite, 1 medium elite, and 1 low elite. They're all 81 rated. By the looks of it, Barker's a little bit younger, just based on the date. But, okay, here's what we got. So, our first player here, we've got Abel Johnson. I created these players, remember this. Okay, so we got AJ47 instead of AK47. AJ47, a 5'7" sniper, plays down the middle, really solid all around. Honestly, his skills and his skating and his shooting are just through the roof. He's a player that we could probably build around for the future, and I would very much like to do that. The only problem is his size, right? He's a little undersized. He's definitely got some weight to play in the NHL, though. At 180 pounds, I think he'd be just fine. But then you have Jamie Barker, a medium elite power forward who's absolutely massive. He's absolutely massive. 6'2", 215 pounds. He's also a little bit younger than the other 2 guys that we're talking about here. His skating's not great, but his senses and shooting are really good so far, and really he'd totally be worth the investment too. Apparently he fits our top 6 forwards. And then the final player that we got here is Kenneth Harrison, a big, massive 6'7" defenseman, 240 pounds, 4.5-star physical, 4-star shooting, 3.5-star skating, 3.5-star defense, and 3-star puck skills. Really, he would pair beautifully with this defenseman we just signed or just drafted in, what's his name, Harrison O'Brien. So you have the Harrison pairing, really, that's what it would be. So he'd fit. He's a top 4 defenseman at the moment, but really, I think we can only sign one of these guys out of free agency. We could probably trade for them later as this series goes on, but right now, I think I want to see who is interested in Abel Johnson because I'm interested in him, but I'd rather not take the risk and just guaranteed land a guy like Jamie Barker. Even though, yes, Abel Johnson might very well turn into a franchise player if he lights up the league this year, I kind of get the feeling Barker could do that too if we put him in the right situation. So I think we're going to not take any risks here. We're going to go for the rock-solid medium elite forward here in Jamie Barker. Going to be a crazy good power forward and will last for a long time. I think that's about as good a signing as we can make. So really, besides this now, nobody's going for Kenneth Harrison, and I've limited myself to one out of these 3 players through free agency, but, there are other Canadian players in here that are probably worth our pursuit and our money, whether that be, Jamie McGinn's probably worth our money, 1.67 for a year, that's fine with me. Dion Phaneuf, Canadian legend, really. Not so much Canadian, but like Toronto Maple Leaf and Calgary. And yeah. Besides that, see, we don't really need a whole lot more defense. Yeah, you could probably sign Schlemko just for a year to play in the AHL, because the AHL is going to be stupidly weak. Chris Kunitz is another player. I'm certain he's Canadian. Yep. And I don't think we need to go after a lot of other guys besides that. Taylor, I don't know how you say it, but what about Baptiste? He's a guy I like to sign? Yeah, okay, let's get Nick Baptiste as well, mainly for the AHL. But yeah, just adding some AHL pieces, adding some depth means our AHL team isn't going to be so god-awful, and we might actually be able to grow a player or two down there. Ooh, Rourke Chartier, yes please. Okay, 3 years too, that's a good deal. And really, I think that's all we got to do for now. I don't think we need to go after any other players. I'm just really hoping Jamie Barker actually signs with us. So let's advance a couple days here, see what happens. Ooh, we got a deal for Tomasino there, and I rejected it. That might have been a mistake. So Liar signs. Baptiste goes to Colorado, unfortunately. Kunitz accepts. Phaneuf accepts. Schlemko accepts. McGinn rejects. Chartier accepts. And we get Jamie Barker. Let's go. Okay, so we bring in one other elite player there. That's huge, but I do get the feeling that, what's his name here? This Canadian star, really, that we made in, what's his name? Yeah, Johnston. AJ. He's going to play in Arizona. Might have just ruined his career with that decision, unfortunately, but, we might try to save him. We might try to bring him over if he actually is like a good fit for our system. So we'll keep our eyes on AJ47 here and see what happens. Besides that, I want to see if anybody actually went out and pursued that big defenseman, Kenneth Harrison, or if he's still around, and he might be. That would be a little unfortunate. Wow, he's still available. Okay, who wants him? We just got to keep an eye on this. Who wants him? Colorado. Colorado gets him. That's scary. Okay, so yeah, Colorado probably going to end up landing Kenneth Harrison. But the other thing we're going to do here is we're just going to sim to the start of next season. And I know I kind of made a decision there without you guys being like, I'm sure a lot of you would have loved for us to have Abel Johnson as our, kind of like, I mean, he wouldn't be franchise yet, but he'd probably turn into a franchise center. So, maybe that was, maybe a lot of you guys wanted Abel Johnson. Oh, we got a Montreal first round pick here. If they only want Jake Muzzin, dude, if they only want Jake Muzzin, I'm willing to make this deal. Yeah. Even though, actually, we have a lot of... Okay, we can't take Yolanen because... Or Ilanen, however you say it. I think it's Ilanen, I believe. But, Canadian players. Any chance we could get... Do they have forwards that are Canadian? Honestly, Cole Fonstad would be pretty decent. If we could snag Fonstad and, also maybe, a second-round pick off of them, I might do this deal. Oh, they'd have... Wait. Oh, because Fonstad... Shoot! Okay, Fonstad's not in the NHL right now, so that's not spectacular. Anybody else who's Canadian that we can actually take? We can take another low top 9 forward. I don't really want to, but, it's going to help with our team in the AHL, so can I grab a third-rounder along with that guy? This should go through. Maybe it won't, but yeah. Okay, awesome. So, we get Fonstad, we get, honestly, probably could have gotten more value out of that, but yes, we trade away Ham, Houston, Muzzin, 2 decent defenders, but you have to remember we've also brought in some pretty solid defenders through the draft, and I'm not worried about this team. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, we're going to sim to the next season, see how the team looks, and then make trades based on that. So they want us to acquire another first-round pick. We already did that. We got Montreal's first, and we got Nashville's first. So yes, our team is going to be kind of terrible for the first season here. They want us to get 16 home wins. I think our goal should be to focus on mainly just... wow, okay. This is not too bad. I honestly thought we were going to have a bit of a terrible group here, but... Oh my God. Well, this is quite nice, isn't it? Holy jeez, that's an 86 rated Jamie Barker. Honestly, we could even try to just abandon our own first round pick and be like, hey, we're just going to come in here. You know what? If we throw Perlini on that line too, that's an 83 rated Brandy Perlini, a 90 rated Eric Stahl, and an 86 rated Jamie Barker for a top line. That is sexy. That is a sexy lineup. My gosh. Lawton doesn't fit there so well. Who else fits well? Toffoli's better on the second line. Okay, there we go. That gets the chemistry that I'm looking for. So I think what we do actually is we play Howden at center just to get him more adept to playing center, because really he should be one of the pieces for the future of this team. Does he fit? No, he doesn't fit quite like Stahl does. Stahl's a really nice fit. Wow. Okay, so the defense is not as great as I'd like it to be, but the top line is insane. How about special teams? They work. For sure they work. 3 lefties, 2 righties. Okay. Are we really not going to throw... what's his name? Like, yeah, Dunn's good and all, but I'd prefer to have Harrison O'Brien on that line. Have him and Fleury on the second unit. That's good. Okay, so what we are going to try to build here... Eesh, that's pretty bad. Okay, so the penalty kill is going to be atrocious, probably. You know, I don't think this team's going to do as well as, you know, it kind of looks. Like, yeah, this team looks beautiful at the moment, or the forwards do anyways. I mean, Jamie Barker is going to be awesome. So I don't know. Do we base our entire forward group around a shoot and balance kind of player? Because, yeah, he'll fit in on a lot of lines with all the balance. That's good. Like, he'll have a lot of yellow system fits probably, or line fits. But really what we do have to start to think about here, since one of the goals I've got here is for chemistry, one of the things we definitely need to think about is Barkov an alternate? Or Barker. Jamie Barker. Sorry. He's number 98, by the way. But besides that, like, we do need to start thinking about actually building chemistry and building around certain specific players for the future. So, I mean, the team doesn't look too bad. Let's see what the draft class has got for us. All right, so I did bump Stutzel's potential up. I have messed around with a lot of this draft to try and make it a little bit more realistic. So there are some good players in here. A lot of these players I would be willing to take for Canadian. Wow, Drysdale's that far down the draft. Jesus. He's not the 30th best prospect in this draft. There's a lot of better players, there's not a lot of better players, sorry. I'm messing my words up here. But the reason I was hesitant on what's his name? What's the player's name I'm thinking of? On Abel Johnston, is because there's 2 really good centers in this draft in Perfetti and Byfield for Canadians. Obviously, we can only draft Canadian players, so everybody else is kind of off the board. We can't really go for them. But, like, you look at these names in here, like, a lot of these names are like, okay, these guys, even if they're not, like, generational talents like Lafreniere, they're still going to make a difference on their team and still be an asset to their team. So, really, I am most certainly interested in most of this draft. And, you know, we're going to probably try to acquire more draft pick assets for this year, especially because of, you know, how many good players are in here. And, well, the other thing we do have to consider, too, is that there are going to be picks coming up over the next few years that are going to be insane. Like, I have edited Shane Wright and Matthew Savoy's potential. It's Savoy. I don't know why people say Savoy. It's Savoy. Wright and Savoy's potential I have changed, even though they are already in the game. I've changed their potentials, so they're high elites, so they're going to be insane. And then the other guy that I've made that we can actually go for is Connor Bedard. If you guys don't recognize that name, why are you watching this video? You're probably not that much of a hockey fan if you don't recognize the name Connor Bedard. But anyways, I think I'm just going to get my my drafting or my scouting done here really quick it's like I can only scout Canadian players, right? So that's really all we're going to look at for this draft. And we'll see how that goes. But once we get past that, maybe we'll make a trade, maybe we won't. You guys need to start letting me know, how is this team going to start to shape up? Are we going to try to make trades and contend right away? I said we need to make the playoffs once in the first 3 seasons. I believe that was one of my goals. Yeah, make the playoffs in the first 3 seasons. So we have 3 years to try and make the playoffs, which means we also have 2 years to really just destroy this team and rebuild it. Obviously, we have 2 nice pieces set in what's their names? O'Brien and Barker. Those 2 guys are going to be really good. But overall, I don't see us keeping a ton of players in this team. So an offensive coach like this, I'm looking at the system fit. A pinch and cycle coach is going to be huge for our defensive core and being able to build around that, because we can draft pinch and cycle defensemen out of the draft on a consistent basis. As far as the behind the net and carrying stuff like that, the second line looks like it would fit a guy like Jamie Barker a lot better than the first line does, to be honest, just because it's shoot and then 2 balanced is 3 greens for him right there. Carey would be a yellow overload, I'm not sure on him, but a coach like this where they have a good fit on the defensive end, especially because, we are going to be building pinch and cycle defensemen for the rest of this franchise mode, most likely, because we have a guy like Harrison O'Brien that we need to build around. A coach like that has 2 out of the 3 with pinch and cycle would be perfect. Because guys like Vince Dunn are, pinch and balanced, but again, Hayden Fleury, we already might have another elite defender that we can pair alongside a guy like Harrison O'Brien. Go like this, and there's your top pairing for the future, right? If that's pinch and cycle, they're +3 all the time, and Fleury's going to grow into a decent defenseman. O'Brien's going to grow into an insane defenseman. So you have a pairing like that, we're peachy. We're good. We're set with this team. So, yeah, maybe that's what we're going to build towards eventually. The only other long-term piece I see in this team for sure is Tristan Jarry. Guys that we are going to keep. Obviously, you have O'Brien, Barker, your 2 main names right now, but we have Dunn, Fleury, and honestly, even Graves is pretty young still. Yeah, he's 24, okay. But, 2 22-year-old or 22, 23-year-olds are good. Perlini's 23 only. Howden's 21. Anybody else young? Sorelli and Kraus, those will be good depth players for this team. So really, I got no complaints with that. I think they're going to be nice pieces for the future, and we can keep these guys and try to fit them into our system, whatever system we decide to build. So just before I start doing all my scouting and stuff, I need you guys to go down below and comment, do we, rebuild right away? What do we do with this team? Because really, that's kind of what I'm still trying to decide is yes, our team is a rebuilder status team. We should probably be going for more picks. We have a lot of picks already. We've done well in that aspect of this draft to glory, is we've gone out and snagged 2 other teams' picks that could potentially tank it this first season. We don't have a 3rd-round pick, or 2nd-round pick, sorry, but we do have 2 thirds. And it's you know what? We're probably not that bad off right now, especially with the amount of talent that is in this first draft here. So I'm not exactly worried for our team. I do want us to be able to make the playoffs by 2022. But 2019-20 is probably going to be a write-off just because the team's not that good. 19-20 is done. 20/21 is probably done as well. So 21, if we can make the playoffs by 2022, that would be all right with me, even though that is Connor Bedard's draft year. We'll try to swing deals, and, we can sign free agents. There will be Canadian free agents available, and if you look at the pending free agents, there are quite a few Canadians in here too. I assume most of them will get signed, but Pietrangelo, Hall, Barzal, all those names are huge Canadian players. They're really insanely good. Is Hall really only $3 million right now? Oh my gosh, he is, because New Jersey retained salary. Jesus. Anyways, yeah, you guys see what I mean. There's a lot of good Canadian players. Holtby's a Canadian goalie, man. So Holtby and Crawford as well. So there's options. There's certainly options. The biggest name though that I'm interested in eventually, that's goalies, sorry. Biggest name I'm interested in eventually would probably be, for a Canadian skater, I think he's 4 years out, to be honest. I don't think he's 3, would be Nathan McKinnon. So that's a possibility still for sure with this team. All right, guys, so I am going to sim to the regular season here. We got a 9-game trial for O'Brien. Yeah, let's do that and see how that goes. Okay, besides that, I have changed, like I said, I changed the players' potentials a little bit. So, like I said, Stützle's a high elite, but that means Byfield and Lafreniere are also both high elite. So we got, actually no, Lafreniere's a franchise, sorry. That's what I've set him to, because he is that good. So, we're trying to gun for Lafreniere if we can do it right. But I think at this point more picks are in need, and I need to hear your guys' feedback before we really head through the next episode and get into all that stuff, because although, yeah, this team is going to be good eventually, we just want to see how they're looking, how they're doing, things like that. And yeah, I mean, I like how the team looks right now. I don't think it's going to be winning many games, but you never know. Rebuilders can perform somehow. So I do just want to check the trading block one more time, see if other teams are trying to trade their first rounders for 2020, or if that's just the really good teams. See, Colorado's going to be too good, especially if they landed that, what's the guy's name? Well, they landed Giordano from us. They already had Bowen Byram, so... And then did they land this other defenseman? Yeah, they did. They landed Harrison too. So they are incredibly stacked. So I would not be investing in Colorado by any means. Dallas is possible. Florida, no way. Hold on, is Tomasino Canadian? I don't think he is, but he might be. Philip Tomasino, he is Canadian. I think we had a trade offer for him. We didn't accept it, but whatever. Besides that, the only other team I could see really tanking it might be the Winnipeg Jets. Might be. I doubt it. They're contender status. Dallas, I might want to take the risk on too. Because, yeah, they do have a lot of good players in here, but at the same time, man, I don't know. I get that feeling that Dallas could probably tank it too. Probably wouldn't have to give up. I mean, shit, their goaltending's so good. I don't think I'm going to bet against Dallas. So you guys need to leave me your suggestions and stuff here for what we should do with this team heading into the next season here. So to end off this episode, we're going to take a look at the jerseys here. So these are the 3 jerseys I have put together for the Halifax Highlanders. As you can see, Brett Burns is currently our captain. Got a home and away, and our alternate looks pretty sexy, I have to say. I really like how the alternate looks, and I think these jerseys are going to be pretty fire. I like how the team looks. And, the team's not that good at the moment. They will get there eventually. 84, 88, 84 isn't even that bad when you compare us to LA. We're probably going to do quite a bit better than the bottom league or bottom tier teams in the league. So, yeah, I'll actually put the graphic up because these jerseys are not originally mine. I just copied them as best as I could, but there was actually a graphic I found on the internet. I don't know exactly who it's from. I'll leave a link to it in the description, but yeah, these jerseys are directly from the concept art that you're seeing on the screen right now. So I don't think we're going to make any crazy, ridiculous trades here to start off in episode 1. I mean, we already did to get Harrison O'Brien, and then you go out and land a guy like Jamie Barkov. The team keeps him Barkov. It's Barker. Barker. Anyways, the team is in good hands. Moving forward into the future here, really, I don't know if the draft class is really going to show it or not, but there is a lot of potential in this draft, and the Canadian players are not weak by any means in this draft. So yeah, we're definitely looking to land our share of players here, and we'll see how that goes. So if you guys are new to the channel and enjoying my videos and this new series, like this is going to be coming out 3 times every 2 weeks, this Canadian Cup Challenge series, we're going to be, working with the Highlanders. They're not going to be good for the first season most likely, but we're going to try to work our way up and, build up a team that is good and consistent for a long time. That is the main purpose of this series and this franchise. But yeah, make sure you subscribe so you never miss when I upload a video. Leave a like if you made it to the end and actually enjoyed, and turn on notifications so you don't miss when I upload. But that's going to be it for me. This is Etanius signing out, and see ya.